with you for today. وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَالتَّوْرَاةَ وَالْإِنْجِيلِ. And he will have taught him, or he will teach him the book, wisdom, al-hikmah, wat-tawrat, and the Torah, wal-injil, and the Injil. Now some have looked at this as ataf bayan, meaning kitab is Tawrat and Injil is hikmah. Let me put it to you in easy English translation. He will teach him the book and the wisdom, that is to say, he will teach him the Tawrat and the Injil. Book, wisdom, Tawrat, Injil. If you look at it in that sense, you appreciate something about how Allah refers to kitab and hikmah all over the Quran. Ibrahim aleyhisselam asked a messenger should come, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, that this final messenger will come, he should teach them the book and the wisdom. Now, what does book and wisdom refer to? Obviously, those are easy, self-explanatory words, but there are other dimensions to them. One dimension to them is Tawrat is laws, and Tawrat is ilm. It's actually ilm. And Injil is the spirit behind those laws. It's actually the connection to Allah, the faith in Allah, the gratitude to Allah, the attitude towards Allah. That's captured inside the Injil or restored by the Injil. That's the hikmah behind the law. What happens is, if you've heard the words before, letter of the law, spirit of the law. The law is in a sense blind. That's why, in court systems, they have this lady holding the two things and she's always blindfolded. Because the law is blind, right? Somebody keeps sending me these videos on Facebook of this elderly judge. I think he's in Massachusetts somewhere. He's really lenient, right? People come to him and he says, hey, how old are you? Okay, just don't do it again. According to the law, if you want to go Judge Judy style, if you want to go to the law by the law, then you throw the book at him. But sometimes there's a wisdom in going easy on people. Sometimes there's a wisdom in forgiving. Sometimes there's a wisdom in being lenient, right? There are exceptions. So the purpose of the law is to actually protect society, right? It's to protect society. And it's not just what the rule says, it's how the rule is implemented, right? Those are two different things. What happens to believers sometimes is they're so concerned about what the rule says, and they're not concerned at all about how it's implemented, right? And there's those two things together are revelation, meaning the law is kitab, but without hikmah you can't ever actually see the kitab implemented. Allah could have revealed alcohol is forbidden. Don't drink wine. He made reference to it. The first time he made reference to it kind of in passing in Medina. And then he again made reference to it and says, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون, Surah An-Nisa. Don't go near prayer while you're drunk. At least while you're drunk. Now, when he says the sin in drinking is greater than the benefit in drinking, anybody who has enough wisdom will say, I'm going to stop drinking. But someone who doesn't, well, he didn't really say, he didn't give like a verdict that it's haram. He said this got some benefits too. وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. He did say that too. So I'm not going to give it up completely. But I see what he's saying. I should cut it down. Later on he says, okay, don't pray while you're drunk. Okay, at least when you're drunk, until you know what you're saying. Don't be inebriated when you go pray, right? So now, how many prayers does a Muslim have? 5. And they're not that far apart. And if somebody's drunk, how long does it take to get off? It takes some time. So if you're going to hold on to salah, your schedule for drinking is kind of messed up. You can't really do it, right? Because if you do, you're going to end up missing the prayer, and prayer is more important. So practically making it impossible to, and then later, finally, he drops something that is the most shocking. He calls it رِجْسٌ مِّنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ. Surah Al-Ma'idah, one of the last revelations. Imagine of the 23-year seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, this is year 23. Year 23. He says this is an abomination from the work of the devil. Are you going to stay away from, or what? This is an evil from the work of the devil. Now, there's a difference between, pigs are not the work of the devil. You understand? He did not say that a dead animal is from the work of the devil. It's haram. Blood is not the work of the devil. It's haram, but it's not the work of the devil. This, alcohol, one of the things, is actually an abomination, a filth from the work of shaitan. The question is, if Allah tells me that it's the work of shaitan, was it the work of shaitan in year 1 of the seerah? Or did that just become the work of shaitan in year 23? If Allah is describing this as a filth from the work of shaitan, it's always been that. It didn't just become that when Surah Al-Ma'idah was revealed, it's always been that. You understand that? And even though it's always been rijsu min amal shaitan, when did He tell us to completely stay away from it? And this, think about this, this is the best of all generations. The Sahaba were the best of all generations. These are the people of sami'na wa ata'na, we hear and we obey. These are the people that are our role models. These are the people that brought about the greatest change on earth. On earth. And you know what? Before they can change the world, they had to change. And they couldn't change overnight. They needed time. And Allah saw that they need 23 years. And some things are easy to change immediately, and some things take some time to change. That is not law, that is what? That's wisdom. Allah in His wisdom decided this change will not come overnight. Imagine for now, some people argue that the ayat about, the stages of the prohibition of alcohol are all mansukh. They don't apply anymore. Now Allah said it's haram, so it's haram. I would argue if we went to some village somewhere in, or some town that has a brewery in the middle of the United States, and the entire town decided to become Muslim tomorrow. Imagine that happened. If they decided to become Muslim tomorrow, and then they were told, by the way, you can't drink. Haram. Absolutely can't drink. These are the people that have been drinking their entire life. This slips them into kids. Hey, boy, go hand me a beer. The kid brings a beer from the fridge. Okay, have a sip. This is their life. And we tell them overnight, stop drinking. Because if you're a Muslim, you can't. Tell me, what does Aisha radiallahu anha say if the first thing that we were told was to stop drinking? What would we have said? Wallahi lan natruka al-khamra abadan. We swear to God we will never leave alcohol ever. This is the words of Aisha radiallahu anha. If law awwala ma nazala min al-Quran la tashribu al-khamr. Had the first thing been don't drink, we would have said never. Forget it. We're not leaving it. You know what, this Islam thing, people come to you and say, Islam, I like it, but this pork thing, man, I gotta have my pork chops. Well, congratulations, eat that and put fire in your belly. You're going to hell. No, that's not wisdom. That isn't wisdom. Allah revealed in stages to the best generation. In stages. How is it that we ignore that and say now the religion is only about kitab? Think about this. Zina has always been haram. Zina was never halal. It's something that every prophet talked about. Every book has taught. Medina was full of zina. When the Prophet moved there, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was full of zina. As a matter of fact, Surah An-Nisa had to deal with it. Surah An-Nur had to deal with it. A Sahabi came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I like this girl, I want to marry her. Okay. Rasulullah, is it okay if I can marry her? Yeah, why shouldn't you be able to marry her? Well, she's a prostitute. Is that okay? Is her profession okay? Still okay if I marry? The Sahabi didn't even think this would be an issue. Because they come from a background and that crazy culture where this wasn't a problem. And actually ayat had to be revealed. That you can't do that. That you can't. But until then, nothing had been said. Until then, nothing had been said. The early laws of a young man and a young woman having committed, zina. What did Allah say? He said about them, if they have committed it, وَالَّذَانِ يَأْتِيَانِهَا مِنْكُمْ فَعَاذُوهُمَا. if two of them have committed among you, cause them pain. And I gave khutbah about this a few weeks ago. Cause them pain. What did that mean? What does the Sahaba think cause them pain means? Ibn Abbas says, yell at them real good. Another Sahabi says, al-izdijar, a good scolding. How could you? Shame on you. Don't ever do that again. Another said, no, this means physical pain. Okay, what physical pain? Let's take a stick and hit the bottom of their foot. When we think of cause them pain, what do we think of? Just throw them off a cliff, man. Cause them pain. The point was, and by the way, those were the people that have done it in public. If they did something like that in public. Because if they فَاسْتَشْهِدُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ أَرْبَعَةً مِّنْكُمْ, seek 4 witnesses against them. 4 witnesses means at least 4 people saw you doing this nonsense. That means you were in public somewhere. It's impossible for 4 people to see that unless it's out in the open. And so Allah says about them, give them a good yelling. And then after that, what should you do? I think after you yell at them, we should probably, execute them publicly. What does he say? فَإِن تَابَا وَأَصْلَحَا فَأَعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمَا. If they both make tawbah, if they both fix themselves up, leave them alone. Quran says, leave them alone. Oh, fine, those ayat are mansukh. We don't apply that rule anymore as the general law of Islam. But, does it have a place? Is there circumstances that occur? Is there a new generation of Muslims that is as unaware of Islam as the first generation of Muslims who was unaware of Islam? And if we try to drop on them, we're going to lose the deen altogether. Like altogether. There's a way to implement deen. That's not just al-kitab, but it's also al-hikmah. Isa alayhi salam was given, they had the kitab. The Banu Israel, they had the kitab, they had Tevrat. But they had removed all dimension of what? Hikmah from it. And Incil came, and in Incil, Isa alayhi salam is constantly reminding them of the hikmah behind the kitab. What does the Quran do? The Quran, a serious student of Quran will know, the Quran, even the laws of the Quran, are not the same as a book of fiqh. They're not. In a book of fiqh, you'll find this is wajib, this is fard, this is halal, this is haram, this is makruh. Done. Finished. In Quran, Allah will give the kitab, the law, then He'll say this is the hikmah. And He says, don't lose sight of the hikmah. Here's the law again, don't lose sight of the hikmah. I'll give you one quick example of that. One of the most common questions that are asked are about, husband and wife have an argument, and then the husband says, I divorce you, 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 I divorce you. You want 3, I'll give you 33. And then he calls the imam and says, I was mad. I said it 3 times. Well, actually, no, I said it 33 times. But it still counts as 1, right? It's not that much. Because Quran says that you can have it twice, that you can take back. The 3rd time you can't take back. What does Allah say about this sort of thing? He didn't just give the law. He said, وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا. Don't make a mockery of Allah's ayat. Don't make a joke out of this. This is serious. وَمَا أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنَ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ يَعِظُكُم بِهِ. And whatever Allah is revealing to you of the book and the wisdom, وَمَا أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنَ الْكِتَابِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ يَعِظُكُم بِهِ. Allah is doing that to counsel you, to advise you. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا يَعْلَمُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ. Be cautious of Allah. Allah knows what you've got going on inside you. Be careful about Him. Be on guard. Be on guard, be on guard, be on guard, and within an ayah. Multiple times. Why? Because Allah knew in His wisdom, this is something people will not be on their guard. Unless they read Quran. Now we take the rule from the Quran and we tell people 3 times is the one. Everybody knows the 3-time rule. Does anybody know the actual word of Allah and how He talked about it? No. If they actually knew the word of Allah and how He talked about it, maybe a marriage orientation. This is what Allah says about this. This is what He says. Just be careful about this. Isn't that a little bit valuable? Is there some value to the words of Allah and how that impacts how we live our lives? So the word of Allah is full of wisdom. So what used to be Tevrat and Incil actually together became Quran. Then you go back to the beginning of the surah and you appreciate something. نزل عليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه وأنزل التوراة والإنجيل. Before he sent Tawrat and Injil. This time is just this book. That's it, Al-Kitab. And he called it Al-Furqan at the end again. Why? Because this book has both of those dimensions and it's very powerful. So that's one dimension of hikmah, the spirit behind the law, the ease with which one should implement the law, the case-by-case scenario. This is part of hikmah. The other part of hikmah, of course, is not losing the purpose behind the law. The purpose behind the law. So that's the hikmah Quran teaches that Isa alayhi taught in Incil. I'll give you one or two examples of that and we'll close today's discussion. And that's as follows. So we have 5 pillars. Every child knows 5 pillars of deen. Practically there are 4 acts. One of them is a declaration, but the other are 4 acts, right? So there's prayer, there's zakat, there's hajj, there's fasting. Allah didn't just give us these 4 acts and others, but Allah didn't just give us these 4 acts. For each of them, He told us there's a purpose. There's a purpose. I'm giving you a car, it can go on the road, but the purpose is you better get to the office. You better make it to campus. That's the purpose of the car. Are there multiple roads you can take? Yeah. But if you understand the purpose of the why your dad gave you the car, you'll go straight where? To the college. Allah says, I gave you prayer. But He didn't just say, I gave you prayer. He said, prayer has a purpose. What happens with us is we keep the prayer and we lose the purpose. So, for example, aqimis salata li dhikri. Establish salah so you can remember me. Not just remember me when you're praying. When you're done praying, you'll remember me. When you're done praying, you'll remember me. He says, for example, about the prayer, he says, "Tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar." One of its purposes. Prayer will prevent you from doing shameless things. From all forms of shamelessness. Prayer remains, shamelessness is still there. Lewdness of speech, vile words are still there. Eyes aren't being guarded. Tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. And all kinds of evil. The guy is running a liquor store, but it's Ramadan, so he says, closed for prayer. And he'll go and pray. كيف نهت عن المنكر? How did it prevent evil? The purpose of prayer is to prevent evil from happening. How is it preventing? The guy beats his wife, curses his children, and then makes tarawih. How is it preventing evil? So what happens is, kitab remains, hikmah is gone. Fasting, Allah says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Purpose of fasting, you become grateful. If you spent the entire month complaining about how hungry you are, how many days left? The fasting is still there. The purpose is gone. The kitab is there, the hikmah is gone. You understand what I'm saying to you? For every one of the rituals Allah taught us, there was a purpose. The purpose is a kind of a sentiment, an attitude, a character change, a point of view change. That actually comes from wisdom. What happened to Banu Israel? They kept the law, they lost the wisdom. They looked like they observed the law on the outside a lot. The halal has to be there. The ingredients have to be there. This is the time of the prayer. This is the adhkar for the prayer. These are the specifics. All the specifics were there, but the reason you do it was gone. This is what Isa alayhi salam came to restore. This was his purpose. yuallimuhul kitaba wal hikmah wat tevrate wal incil. By the way, if he only had wisdom, then they'll say he doesn't even know the kitab. He doesn't even understand fiqh and sharia and the rules. He just says, oh, everything is just, so long as you're grateful, you don't have to pray. Because the people become like that, right? When the law is taken advantage of so much, listen, I know I'm taking over my time. Let's take 2-3 minutes to explain this. But it's an important consequence. What happens when people in the Muslim community, and the Jews of the time were the Muslim community, so I'm talking about both right now, okay, at the same time. What happens in a Muslim community when the spirit goes away, the hikmah goes away, and all you have left is the laws. then the next generation starts seeing, man, these people pray, but they're so messed up. These people have long beards, but they're so messed up. These ladies wear hijab, but they're the most vile women I've ever seen. They see that. And they say, you know what? These people think they're good just because they've memorized the Quran. These people think they're good just because they look religious, they act religious, they say the religious words that we don't know. This is why they're good. You know what? That's not what being good is. Being good means being a nice person. Being good means being kind. Being good means being nice to your neighbor. I'm all of those things already. I don't need religion to be a good person. I don't need to look like them, talk like them, act like them to be a good person. I have the hikmah without the kitab. You understand? So what happens then is, as a reaction, they say the kitab is messed up. Because the people who look like they follow the kitab are messed up, it must mean the kitab and its following messes you up. So don't do that. Just go for the spirit of it. Because fasting makes you grateful. I don't fast, but I'm still pretty grateful. The purpose has been achieved. You know? I mean, I don't remember Allah through prayer, but I thank God all the time in my own way. Purpose has been achieved. Lidhikri. The purpose has been achieved. It was important for Isa alayhi salam to be said about Isa alayhi salam. Allah will teach him Tevrat, which is what? The law, and the hikmah, the Incil. What happened with the Jews? Only kitab. What happened with the Christians? Only hikmah. We don't need the law. What happens within the Muslim community? Forget outside. Inside the Muslim community, there are groups of us, all kitab. As a reaction, there are groups among us, all hikmah. And that is a manifestation of our distance from Quran itself. The further we get from Quran, you become either this way or you become that way. And the only way you can restore that is the word of Allah becoming central again. That's when those two things come together again. It's a profound thing that Allah Azza wa Jal captures in that brief phrase, al-kitaba wal-hikmah. That's al-kitab wal-hikmah. So here, yuallimuhul kitaba wal-hikmah wal-tawrat wal-incil. I'll leave the rest for tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.